Are you breathing yet?
Like to call to order. Thank you. A regular meeting on Monday, February 23rd, 2015. And would you please join Councilman Loretano in the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we ask your guidance and we ask your help in making wise decisions for our city and our citizens. We also ask that you take care of those in need, those less fortunate, and the lost. We also ask for your protection for those that protect us, both home and abroad, in these dangerous times. We ask for these in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Loretano. So we have to excuse a council member tonight. Councilman Osborne is not in the area. So, and Councilman Campbell, you made it.
I did.
What time did you get off the plane?
4:38.
4:38. So thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for being here. That's doing your job. So I need a motion and a second, please, to excuse Councilman Osborne. Do I hear motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I heard a motion by Councilman Loretano and a second by Councilman Campbell. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll go on to the communication. So we have three of them tonight. We're going to start out with the first one, and that's to recognize Chuck Watson as Citizen of the Year for 2014. Christina Plant will introduce Chuck, and I will read the proclamation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm so proud to be able to be here today. I just started with the city a little over a year ago, and whether it be a resident or a city staff person, everyone said you have to meet Chuck Watson. I firmly believe he deserves this recognition. I'm so pleased to see you give it to him. I'd like to invite Chuck Watson up here.
Well, hello there. No, you have to go right in front where everybody can see you. Okay? Let me put this on here. Good. I'm doing just fine, but I really missed you, so we don't see you much there and there anymore.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to give you another job, huh? All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this. So this is Citizen of the Year Award for Mr. Chuck Watson. Whereas Chuck Watson has been a model citizen and dedicated volunteer for the city of Goodyear for several years. And whereas Chuck has been an integral member of the North Subdivision Neighborhood Alliance, serving as a group's vice chairman in 2010 and 2011, and as the chair in 2012 and 2013. He has been instrumental in bringing residents together to produce positive outcomes for the North Subdivision neighborhood. That's a real applause for that neighborhood. I know they must be thrilled for you. Okay, whereas Chuck was a founding member of the Graffiti Busters program in 2011, serving as a primary point of contact for more than 3 years. This program has helped keep Goodyear community one that we are extremely proud of, and we truly are, Chuck. Whereas Chuck was the chairman of the 2025 General Plan Committee, contributing his time at countless public meetings. How many?
Many.
To help determine fundamental strategies to guide Goodyear's future growth over the next decade. Whereas Chuck has been a selfless volunteer for the city of Goodyear, contributing, it says several, I'm going to say thousands, of hours of his time to initiatives such as GAIN, You Are Not Alone, that's our YANA program, Adopt a Park, and various clerical jobs that have helped the city council and staff tremendously. I think I have to thank you for the car, don't I? Yeah, I think I do. Little extra thank you for the car. Okay. You washed the car once in a while for me, and it was really in bad shape sometimes.
I was told I was washing it too often. There wasn't enough money in the budget.
Oh, I tell you, ever since we've got that priority-based budgeting, we rank everything. All right, whereas Chuck, in total, Chuck has given approximately 800 hours of his time and service to his city since 2010. And I think a little bit more than that, because they don't count everything. I've seen you up in the office. And has proven himself to be an invaluable asset to our community, whereas Chuck is a proud advocate for our fine city, proclaiming its merits throughout the valley. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Georgia Lord, Mayor of Goodyear, Arizona, do hereby proclaim Chuck Watson, 2014 Citizen of the Year, for his leadership, his hard work, his dedication to the Goodyear community. In witness whereof I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Goodyear, Arizona, to be affixed this 23rd day of February 2015. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now, while I'm walking up, I know the council all has something to say about Chuck, okay, because of the hours he's put in. So I'm going to recognize Bill Stipp to start.
I'm not going to, I usually talk a lot, so I'm going to be very brief because I know the rest of the dais is going to say a lot more. But, you know, Chuck, you're a rock in the community with everything that you have done. Most recently, the great success that you had on the General Plan Committee. And, you know, I said it earlier in the work session that, of course, nobody was here for. But our community is so great, and it's filled with such great people with great hearts. And when I think of the volunteers that we have, you are the first person that comes to my mind. So thank you for everything that you've done for the city.
Councilman Loretano?
I think this is going to get kind of repetitive. You're everywhere, and you are what make the volunteers and all the work you've put in make this city so special, and how much you've done for your neighbors, your friends, and just the whole city as a whole. I think people don't realize how many hours you put in on every project. Just what Councilmember Stipp was saying about the last committee that you chaired, that probably took you 800 hours and all the nights and all the work you did. And there is no way to say how much we thank you, because what you do as a volunteer to our city is what makes our city. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Bazzillo.
Yeah, Chuck, I've known you since the first day I probably got on the council. Hitting some of your neighborhood meetings, your HOA, you've always been there, especially on the graffiti program. I mean, come on. Again, well-deserved, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Congratulations, Chuck, and thank you for everything you do for us.
Councilman Campbell.
Before I speak, Chuck, I would like you to introduce your family to council because your mother is here. And this is so special.
Thank you, Wally, for doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Wally. My wife, Carol, is on the end holding our youngest grandchild, Emma, and then my mother's visiting from Indiana, and just worked out that way. We didn't plan it. And my two grandsons, Ryan with the broken arm, and his mother, my only daughter, Heather, and then the oldest grandson, Reese. And we are expecting a fourth grandson in July.
My.
Congratulations.
Well, Chuck, I can't tell you how much we appreciate all that you've done. We've been friends long before I was ever on council. And so we've done a lot of painting parks and fences and picking up trash and graffiti and dunk tanks and you name it, we've done it together. Oh, yeah, I forgot Neighborhood Watch. Yes, we were VIPs together as well. But you embody everything that is good about Goodyear. And we just thank you so very much for caring enough about our city that you are always the first one to step forward and say, I'll do it. And we just want you to know how much we appreciate it. We may not always thank you enough, but be aware that this council and this city is very grateful for you and your family, and especially your precious wife for letting you be gone so long. So thank you very much, Cheryl. Anyway, but thank you for all you do, and we just we know you're not going away. We have other things that you'll be doing, I'm sure, but we just want to thank you very much.
Councilman Holman.
Well, I have the pleasure of being a neighbor of Chuck's. And Chuck and I have worked together on many, many projects. His heart is much bigger than he is. And whether it's a neighbor that needs something, a neighborhood that needs something, whether it's putting blocks back up on the wall or a TV that isn't functioning quite properly, Chuck has been there for us. And I am so glad that the city of Goodyear has chosen to give this honor to Chuck. It's so well earned. And I'm so glad you're my neighbor, Chuck, and thank you for all you've done.
Let's give him one round of applause. Chuck, you have the floor if you'd like to say something.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The only thing I want to say is it's been a pleasure and an honor, and it will continue in the future to be anything I can do to help this city and help the leadership of this city, because I have the utmost respect for our entire council and mayor, our city manager, both of the chiefs. I mean, it's just a great community to live in and volunteer in. And no, believe me, I've been thanked by so many people even before this for everything that I've done. It's been often enough, believe me, but you'd never hesitate to thank me when I do stuff. And, you know, a little pat on the back goes a long way. You just want to do more. So I look forward to doing more volunteering in the future for the city.
Well, I have to tell you, you've taken ownership of this city.
Yeah.
So I guess part of that is the mayor's office, and I thank you.
I love this city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Chuck.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next communication item is recognition of a retiring Deputy Fire Chief, Mike Ullman, service to the City of Goodyear. Paul Louisi to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Have Chief Ullman come up. I know he snuck in here someplace. Just recognition for Mike's service to the City of Goodyear. You begin to think about this. This is kind of a rare breed from the standpoint of somebody that was born, grew up in this community, and then served this community. So from 1974, when he started just out of high school, until now, Mike has served in the capacity in the fire department from volunteer firefighter to, in 1988, he was hired as division chief, which oversaw our fire prevention and code enforcement. And then in 93, he was promoted to deputy chief within the fire department. So from that perspective, Mike being really the second full-time employee that was hired in the fire department, and then truly just growing that department to what it is today is pretty remarkable. And I don't know that those opportunities exist really anywhere in the world anymore, to grow a fire department like that from nothing, really, from a volunteer service to a very progressive full-time career fire department. So I'd like to recognize Mike truly for his 40 years of service to the City of Goodyear. And it's pretty remarkable when you think about that. There's not a lot of longevity in the fire service, but to do it for 40 years from a volunteer all the way to a career deputy fire chief is pretty incredible. So we're here to honor Mike, and the department got him a plaque, and we'll have a luncheon for him tomorrow where we can roast him appropriately. But tonight we have a plaque here, and it says, presented to Deputy Chief Mike Ullman in recognition for your outstanding service to the City of Goodyear, January 1974 to February 2015. So,
Wow.
Congratulations.
Let's give Mike a hand.
Mike, would you like to say anything? You don't mind me calling you Mike now. You're retired.
Not at all. I just want to thank you for the opportunity and thank everybody for, giving me everything I've got here. It's not about me. It's about the city of Goodyear and the citizens and the family that I work with as a fire department, and it's been great.
Well, I'm just going to have you stay just a moment more. When somebody, all right, I know you're lined up. Councilman Stipp.
I've had the very unique opportunity to actually work side by side with Mike, and Mike was one of the very first people that I ever met when I came to the city of Goodyear. Mike was absolutely gracious about welcoming this guy from Massachusetts into the Arizona Fire Service, went out of his way to make sure that I got connected with the right people and made the right connections, and was part of my initial training to kind of get me acclimated to what we do out here. And Mike, I will obviously never forget that. And I have really been probably a giant pain in everyone's side at the city staff to make sure that we had you here tonight, because I really felt very strongly that you deserved a night before this council and to hear from us how much we appreciate the years of service that you've had, and from me personally, how much working with you has really meant. And matter of fact, Mike was my last supervisor before I retired. So with that, Mike, I really wish you the very, very best, and I know we'll probably see one another out there somewhere. So good luck and congratulations.
Councilman Loretano.
Did you want to?
I'd like to thank you, and it's been a pleasure watching you grow up in the organization too. Council member Stipp.
Yeah, it's still a work in process. So
I want to thank you for 40 years and dedicating your career and your life to public service and the service of this community and our citizens. And we should all be very indebted for you, because one legacy that you leave to our whole community is a wonderful fire department. And your stamp is on that, bringing it from the volunteer fire department on up. Because you talk to anybody in this community, they're very proud. And they just love the fire department. There are not complaints on. And I want to thank you for that. And thank you for your public service. And I guess you started when you were about 10, right? So
I was about 18.
Okay. So I wish you the best retirement and enjoy it and have fun. And you will be missed, but it lives on with what you've accomplished. So thank you.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo.
You're welcome.
it's been a pleasure, Mike. I know our paths crossed. I think it was in '89 when I did some work for Stephen as a contractor. And we were in that little place just now. I'm not even sure what they use it for the original firehouse that you had over there. And then as an employee in '97. It was always been a pleasure. I guess my question for you is, are you going to continue your rock star status in your musical career as you move forward? That's what I thought. There's my man. And again, good luck with all you do. And I appreciate everything you have done for the city. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Councilman Holman.
I won't tell any of the secrets, Mike, but Mike and I have worked together for not all of the 40 years, because I didn't come out here until 1980. But through our rodeo days and through our my office supply and printing company days, I had the pleasure of working with Mike. And I can remember one day when I needed a Knox box in my house that you have to get approved through the fire department. Mike was there to install it for me. And you are just a good man. Another man in our community whose heart is at least as big as he is, if not larger. And I am so glad that your father was able to be here with you tonight to hear how well thought of and how much you are appreciated, as was he when he was our fire chief. So, Mike, do accept our thanks and do recognize that we have appreciated you, even if it hasn't been said often enough. Thank you, Mike.
Councilman Campbell.
Thank you. Well, Mike, it's been, I'm sure in your mind, a wonderful 40 years. But when you stop and think that you were protecting our city 24/7 for all of that 40 years, this is such a grateful community to say thank you. Thank you for all that you have done Thank you for all that you have tried to do. Thank you for being there every time we've needed something. I've loved your stories, especially of the old days, because I didn't know much about Goodyear. But you always took the time and were so kind and so gracious, and even for someone that kept asking the same question over and over again, because I just didn't get it. This was before I was on council, of course. No conflict of interest, of course. But anyway, I just want to thank you for all that you've done, and thank your family for their sacrifice as well. We just really appreciate it, and we're so happy that you're able to retire with your good health so you can enjoy it. But we just want to tell you thank you, and Goodyear owes you a debt of gratitude.
Well, Mike, I agree with everything that's been said up here, but I always relate police and fire to the military. And I know the sacrifices that our military have made for their families, and I know police and fire do the very same thing. And so you have done 40 years of it. I can't imagine. I think we retired in 30 years of military. My husband did military service. So, I mean, I just know the blood, sweat, and tears and everything that went into the work you did. And you know, when we look at the surveys this year and see how high the percentage is, how happy people are with our fire department, that's you. So thank you very much for your service.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to tell the photo. We're going to get a photo here of him with the council after. So go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Again, it's just been a pleasure serving everybody, and especially the citizens, and working with the firefighters and everybody in the department and the city. I can't say enough about it. It's, you know, it's 40 years ago, I would have never believed this.
It came quickly, huh?
Yes, it did. And as far as retirement, I seen a sign on I-10 that says, "Retire like you mean it." I mean it.
Got it. All right, guys.
Down here.
Mike? So we'll put you in the middle, looking towards the camera.
Oh, we can do it. A group hug.
Make sure you've got him.
Do you want him there or up here with us? We want this to be a good one. Yeah, come on up here. Yeah. I'm so short.
Right next to Cheryl Lynn,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, right here.
How's that?
How's this? Come on, Bill.
That's right.
Can you get us all in now?
You're retired.
Thank you.
Rock on, Angus.
Enjoy it.
Oh yeah, let's get your dad up here too.
What?
Oh, yeah. Where's your dad? Oh, come on up, Chief.
Yes.
Let's get a picture up here, Chief.
Like your girls aren't here, are they?
Well, get him up. You want him up?
Oh, there they are.
Girls, come up.
Come on, JJ.
Let's do a family picture.
Hope you don't have a lot of agenda.
Oh, we don't. And even if we did, this is more important. This is just once in a lifetime.
I'm thanking the audience for being so patient, but you know, this is once in a lifetime. And
Yeah.
when you work this hard, you deserve it.
That's right. Yeah, come on up. Come on up, honey.
Right over here.
Hi, sweet girl. How are you?
Yes.
Can you get all of us? Yeah, come on
You got a
in.
little something in your beard? No, I'm just kidding.
Bill. Oh, we have one more. Come on.
You're going to have to hurry.
The side thing.
The side thing? I want to hide behind
So,
Bill here.
if we turn sideways, can you get all of us?
You're going to have to come up here.
Okay.
Scoot in.
Oh, scoot in some more?
Scoot in, scoot in, scoot in.
I'm short.
Make your own row.
Sit in the chair.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. There's a man. Okay.
Uh-oh.
To start.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, one more.
Well, he can do it with this one. A phone will work.
Twitter.
Facebook it. Put it on Facebook.
You really want me to answer that? What you usually
I don't
do,
think
nothing.
so.
Take care, man.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
You too. I expect to hear from you.
Yeah, you're not leaving town, are you, Mike?
He's gonna play hard. He's
Good
got
for
big
him.
plans.
He's going to be the
But good for him. Exactly.
You know what? You think about it. I think he is the longest serving employee right now.
Exactly.
Okay, that was fun. We should do that more often. That's fun, but I don't want everybody to retire.
No.
No, I don't want them to.
Oh,
That's fun.
I thought you said you
Okay,
wanted
the
to-
next item is a communication on the 2015 Spring Training Promotion and Opening Days festivities. I'll get it out. Bruce Kessman, Ballpark General Manager, to present.
Okay. Oh, pretty cute. He's got Cleveland on. Where's the Indians?
See, we've relaxed the dress code a little bit, huh?
This is not quite in opening day shape quite yet.
I said,
As you see, once again, spring training is upon us. Cleveland Indians, Cincinnati Reds will call our city home for about the next month. With spring training upon us, I brought my good friend Zizzy here tonight to help me talk about all the fun and excitement that we're going to have this year at the ballpark. Opening day, a little over a week away, next Tuesday, March 3rd, Indians versus Reds, game time 1:05. We have a pretty jam-packed promotional schedule this year. Bobblehead giveaway on March 7th with the Indians' Michael Brantley, and then on March 14th, Billy Hamilton with the Reds. Each of those days will be followed up with brunch at the ballpark on March 8th and March 15th. This will give our fans a unique opportunity to come out early to the ball field, enjoy brunch out in our right field pavilion. Got 2 fireworks nights slated on March 20th and March 27th.
love Ziggy.
Got fireworks?
Yeah, that's fireworks.
We're also bringing back the happy hours this year before every night game. Gates will open up at 5 o'clock, 2 hours prior to the game time. And those are going to be on March 20th, March 24th, 25th, and the 27th. Food and drink specials right before the game.
Oh, yay.
Every Sunday this year at the ballpark is going to be Kids Day Sundays. Bringing extra inflatables for the kids to enjoy, involve the kids in the on-field and pregame activities, let them have a little bit of run to the ballpark, and they also get to run the bases following the game. Teamed up again with the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce for Fan Fest, which is on March 17th. Just post-game, about an hour afterwards, starts about 5 o'clock, goes to about 8:30. Both of the teams will bring out their players for autograph session, on-field activities, and a lot of fun during that time. A lot of daily promotions and offers again this year. Just a couple to name a few. The military offer coming back once again with the free ticket to show our appreciation to all the military members. Free ticket to any game during spring training. The Senior Saver Pass, Dollar Burn Days, Family Fun Pack, and new this year, we're going to end off the season with an extravaganza egg hunt on the field after the game. A lot of new food items that Ovations is introducing this year, bringing a couple of the food trucks, barbecue, panini trucks. Zizzy's been sampling these all off-season, making sure we have the best food at the ballpark. Once again, we'll have something for everybody at the ballpark. Hope to see everybody out there this spring.
Thank you very much.
Love Ziggy.
Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the city council on a non-agenda item. And I see on this consent, but that's, all right, this is the present time to do this one, or wait?
No, Mayor.
No, wait until, now?
No, Mayor.
No,
There's
to
no
there.
other
Okay.
non-agenda.
All right. Are there any speaker cards on
No, Mayor.
non-agenda? All right. Does anybody in the audience wish to speak on non-consent agenda? Okay, then let's go on. Let's start at the consent. And will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items 6.1 and 6.5 by title only, please?
Item 6.1, approve draft minutes from a regular meeting and a special meeting held on February 9th, 2015. Item 6.2, execute Amendment 1 of Intergovernmental Agreement JPA 14-0004967 with the State of Arizona, acting by and through its Department of Transportation to establish responsibility for funding, purchasing, installation, and maintenance responsibilities of fiber optic conduit, cable, and equipment along Van Buren Street from Estrella Parkway to Cotton Lane in the city of Goodyear. Item 6.3, approve the acceptance of a public utility easement and subordination agreement adjacent to a portion of Sherman Street from Basis Schools Incorporated, an Arizona nonprofit corporation. Item 6.4, number 1, adopt resolution number 15-1693, authorizing the establishment of a public street for a section of Sherman Street to be constructed, opened, and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date. Item 2, adopt resolution number 15-1694, authorizing the establishment of a public street for a section of Goodyear Boulevard to be constructed, opened, and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date. Item 3, adopt resolution number 15-1695, authorizing the establishment of a public utility easement adjacent to a section of Sherman Street to be administered and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date. Item 6.5, approve the acceptance of the dedication of 2 special warranty deeds for portions of Goodyear Boulevard from Sun MP Investment Properties, LLC, an Arizona limited liability company.
Thank you. I do have one card, for the consent agenda, so I'm going to call this now. Can I do that now, or do I need to wait?
Just pull it off.
I can do that.
Is it a comment, or do you want to pull the item?
No, it's on 6.4.
You can either pull the item from consent, or if it's responding to a question, you can handle it now. It's however you'd like to handle it.
Okay, so I'm asking, does he wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Anybody from the public? And I have Dennis Ryan. Runyon, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dr. Runyon.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. It's wonderful to be here. I've offered to come out and give you a state of the schools, so invite me back. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to do that for you. I have a lot to share with you. We're very excited about our growth. The reason we're here tonight, and I have with us a board member, and we also have the principal of Desert Edge, as well as a couple of parents have joined us. We are in support of helping and working with Goodyear City planners for the roads and easement on Sherman, as well as the new light and so forth and signal going out to Estrella Parkway. I do want to share with you, if you've been in the district for a while, and many of you have been for years, at Millennium High School we've had continuous traffic issues and easement issues with traffic. So Desert Edge is a lot newer, but we just spent $250,000 on a bond improvement. Thank you to the community. We have a bus ramp that's been placed on Sherman Avenue directly across from the location for the Basis School. We again are in support of Basis. We are in support of the program. We are here as a community partner tonight to work with the city. I want to thank the planners today. They called and we're working. They're going to come out Monday. But I do just want to bring to the council's attention and concern that we cannot have elementary cars and parent drop-offs commingling and turning into Sherman Street in front of a bus load and unloading for the high school. That would be a dangerous thing. I think our SROs here that would tell you the same thing, that there's some issues there. We'd want to look carefully at the times of drop-off, the time of pickup, to see if there's some differential there. That's one primary concern I have as your superintendent. Another one would just be that when you put the light in there at the curve, with Basis, you're going to have a backup of traffic with the students coming in and so forth. You just want to be careful that you've really looked through this significantly. And again, we want to work with you. We're here to support the needs. We're very excited to see that property start to be developed. And we think it's a good thing. We hope those students will feed directly into the high school, so we're excited about that too. So it's a good thing for everybody involved. Again, tonight I just want to express those concerns and ask, as you make your consideration tonight, that we do our due diligence together with your city planners and have them come out and take a real hard look at some of these things that have emerged from the district's perspective. I thank you for your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Runyon. All right, does anybody on the council wish to remove an item?
So
I'm not asking to remove it. I just have a question.
can we ask a question about
Well,
this
you
now?
could, or we could have it in, you're pulling, is anybody going to pull this, or? Do you,
I have just a generic question.
Okay, all right. Can they address a certain?
You certainly can, Mayor.
My question
No,
is
you
actually
have
for the attorney.
limitations on what you can,
Mine's for the attorney.
yes.
Yes.
Can I go?
Yes. I'm going to first tell the city attorney what they can and cannot say. Would you
Well,
please?
we can handle however you want to handle it, but what I generally advise is if we're going to have any significant conversation about a consent item, we should just remove it from the consent
That's-
and handle it separately. So if
that's what I said, to pull it. And then,
Yeah, just
and
pull it.
then
So you
we
may
can,
wanna just-
we
and I
can
think-
address all of Dr. Runyon's questions and have
Exactly.
a discussion on it.
Mayor, I'd like to pull
Great.
item 6.4 from the consent calendar, please.
Okay. All right.
I still have a question.
You already, you've got it. Go ahead.
Okay, so my questions relate because there's a number of consent items that connect to this roadway discussion, et cetera. And I realize that there's another agenda item on the business side. Is any action that is taken on these consent items force us into a decision on the other issue? For example, could we vote no on the business item without? You see where I'm going with that? By taking this action now, does it force our hand later?
Madam Mayor, members of the council,
I don't think so. But
I don't think so, but you have easements that are associated with the construction item later, so
we can always own an easement.
you can, yes, would be the answer.
And especially since they're $0 easements,
What I don't think you can do is approve the construction item without the easements.
correct.
There.
But these don't force us to do that.
No.
That's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Councilman Loretano?
Is this pulled item time to ask or not time to ask?
It's not to time. What I was going to do is ask Councilman Campbell to pull it and put it on the business. Can we do that?
Yes, Mayor, maybe you should handle both of those items on Sherman Street at the same time. Maybe we just move it to the end of the agenda and handle those two together, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we're going to pull 6.4. Just a moment. He's got a question.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
So may I pull 6.4 and request that it go on the agenda at the bottom?
And is
Yes.
there
Thank you.
anything we can put another one on at the same motion, or we have to have separate
Well,
motions?
it'll be separate motions, but I think they're kind of interrelated, so you might as well handle them both at the same
All right,
time.
well, we can take care of that one right now. So I heard a motion from Councilman Campbell to pull 6.4 and put it on the business. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So all in favor, no, roll call vote, please. Don't I have to do a roll call vote? I don't have to do a roll call. Well, speak up there. Come on.
Madam Mayor, all you
Give me
need
some
is
guidance.
the declaration from a council member to pull from consent.
That's all it
you
does.
need.
So it's
Yes.
pulled and put on the business. All
Okay.
right. So now you know 6.4 is going on the business. Any
Okay.
other question? And I saw someone asking you a question there from our staff. So is there anything we have to add to this?
Not at this point. You just handle your consent agenda at this point, and then we'll move on to business.
All right.
All right. So what I'm going to need then is a motion for 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5, and a second.
So move. Second.
Stipp,
I'm going to say Vice Mayor, motion from Vice Mayor, second from Councilman Stipp.
Sure.
All right. Well, I had two male voices on this. And so roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Homan?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
All right. Just one more advice from the lawyer. Which one do you want me to put this on for the business item? We run it first?
It's the mayor's discretion if you'd like to handle those
Good, we're
items
going to run it first then.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go on to the business. And the first item on the business will be 6.4. to adopt the resolution number 151693, authorizing the establishment of a public street for a section of Sherman Street to be constructed and open and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing an effective date. Just a second. And we already had someone speak on that, so we don't need anybody speaking on that from the audience, right?
Not again.
All right, so presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wanted to come up before Linda can actually speak as to the specifics on the easement itself under 6.4. But prior to that, I just wanted to say a few words. And we had already had Superintendent Runyon come up and speak, but I also wanted to identify him as a special guest. In addition, Board President Maxine Hill, who is here this evening with our Freya High School District, as well as Principal Julie Jones. And I apologize if I missed anyone else who is here this evening. But prior to Linda describing the easement for this project, and then later Regis will be describing the Goodyear Boulevard project, I just wanted to state that there was an oversight on my part with respect to this project and not engaging the high school and the district earlier on in the process. It was certainly not my intent to do that. And so I just wanted to make that statement and certainly say from this point forward, we will be coordinating heavily with the school and the district on this project.
I appreciate
With that,
that.
I'll take any questions.
Okay. So now we have a motion, and I can open for discussion.
You want a presentation from Linda?
Yeah, if we're going to have a presentation, but then we can have a
Yes,
discussion.
yes,
All
ma'am.
right, thank you. Okay, presentation, please.
Can you turn it sideways? There we go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Linda Beals, and I'm the Real Estate Coordinator with the City of Goodyear. The items under 6.4 tonight are directly related to the development of the basis schools, the sale. These items were required under the infrastructure portion of the purchase agreement that we entered into back several months ago. That sale, as I think most of you are aware, has closed, and Basis is now in ownership of the property. It's essentially, and I apologize, this particular drawing does not show the site that they purchased, but if you see the two black marks here, their site is essentially in between those two and is 11 acres between them. The drawings on the colored areas on the map show you the portions that we're acquiring right now, or I'm sorry, we're not acquiring, we own them. And we're getting ready to dedicate under the city, because here's the issue. The city owns the 100-acre parcel, and as part of that 100-acre parcel, those aren't dedicated rights-of-way. Those are part of our city property. So in order to make them public rights-of-way, we actually have to come in and do a declaration. So what we're working through today is the orange area and then the northerly part of the green area for declarations for Sherman Street. And then the portion that goes southward as green is part Goodyear Boulevard actually goes around. So it's part of the Goodyear Boulevard there, and then we're declaring it partially south along the city center site as well as the 100-acre parcel. Then the two black areas are public utility easements. Now, on another item on tonight's agenda, there's the connecting piece, which is coming in from basis. So you have these two pieces that are being dedicated by the city as public utility easements, but on another agenda item, basis is dedicating their portion. And as well as you can see, there's some other dedications from Sun MP to help fill in some of the other gaps. But the item that's been pulled tonight is the city's declaration of the portions that the city owns, so that those are actually rights of way and not part of the overall parcel any longer.
Thank you very much. So are there any other speaker cards on this?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Then could I please have a motion?
Mayor, we'll need to do 3 separate motions on each resolution. So on 6.4.1 would be your first motion.
All right, so you're saying, I'm sorry, because I can't hear you. We're still on
On
Sorry for this confusion.
Yes, it is confusing. The resolution number 15-1693 is the first resolution under 6.4. You want to do a motion and a second and a roll call on that one, and then number 2 and then number 3.
Okay, so
there's
then we
3
get back
different
to the consent
resolutions.
agenda and agree to those. All the rest of you're saying.
No, the consent agenda is done, but on that particular 6.4, you can take a motion and a vote on each resolution under 6.4.
Okay.
So on 6.4, number 1 is a resolution 15-1693. You want to ask for a motion and a second on that.
All right, could I please have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Heard a motion from Councilman Campbell, a second from Vice Mayor Pizzillo.
Now can we discuss it,
Now,
please?
yes, open for discussion.
Bill, you want to start? Okay.
No, go ahead, Wally.
Okay.
All right,
all right,
Councilman Campbell.
I'm ready to roll here, you
On
guys.
6.4.
Okay, I have a question for Dr. Runyon, but I'm going to ask a question of Rebecca. Rebecca, did no one from our city contact the district to tell them we were looking at extending this road?
No, we did not.
Oh my gosh. I apologize, Dr. Runyon. So now,
if I could help the city, the road exists. It's just where their drop-off's going to come out into the road is right across from a bus ramp.
well, where is it on this map so that we know what you're talking about?
But I do want to say the road does exist, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that the road is partially in place. It's on the yellow, about halfway down, straight across from the property is the bus ramp.
Where?
Can
you
you
show me,
use
Rebecca?
this one right here?
I mean, we don't, we're just totally confused.
Can you use it? Not any more confused than the mayor's been tonight.
I am so confused.
Okay. I'm not using this.
Yeah, this is the map that we have in front of us. What Linda has put up, I've never seen before, and it's blurry. I can't read it anyway. Okay, so your triangle, was the triangle, where is this square here basis?
Okay.
Right here, is this the basis school? Right here?
Square, yes.
All right, so on the other one, the triangle that you had drawn on the other map, Linda, hello?
Those were just arrows pointing down to
Oh,
the
it was,
BUE.
okay. So the triangle had nothing to do with where the location of the school is.
Right.
Okay,
So
never
the
mind. Okay.
triangle Here,
Yeah.
The school is right here, but the triangle is
Okay,
just pointing.
all right, I got it. So I've drawn my triangle. So now he's saying that the bus route is going to, something that they're going to build that we didn't know they were going to build is going to be right in here.
The bus ramp was built 18 months ago through the bonds that we had. It's right across the street from that.
Dr. Runyon, why don't you come up
Right
here,
here?
okay? If you don't mind.
Okay.
And again, we're a team here. I want to put my arm here and thank you.
And
We're
I
here to
know,
help.
and I know you are because
Yeah.
you're a team player, and you've proved that
I
to
only,
me many times.
again, outside of the parents may have some other concerns in some of the areas, but this point right here is the entrance to the school, I understand, and the bus ramp it's right along here. There'll be 18 to 20 buses
Now, wait a minute, guys. Okay.
that will be lined up to load and drop off students. It's basically a single lane with a bus ramp.
Yeah, and
The
then we'll
drop
come
off
back
are
to
coming
this.
in, depending on where they put it and how it looks. Now, anything up here could work. It's not in the bus ramp. Anything we could do in this area would certainly help, but I'm not saying that's possible. You know, I realize that's, but there's things we can talk about when they come out Monday. There's things we can look at together. It's just that was a $250,000 project that was built and it's completed, and we've been using it over the last year. So we appreciate that. The city did do a traffic flow study about 18, 20 months ago, I believe. So we do understand that they've been looking at some of these things. So I want to go back here and say that we can work together on this because we owe that to you. So we're excited about that. The bus ramp creates a dynamic that's very dangerous. You know, if you do research on school accidents, bus ramps, loading and unloading that are commingled with parents are the number one cause of accidents in that kind of environment. So, again, it doesn't mean we can't find a solution. I just wanted to share that we need to be very aware of that, and we need to work together on that. And how we do that is up to us together. We owe that to the board and to the mayor. And we're here. We're excited. So I apologize. It's so complicated.
Along with that, where do the students come that drive their own cars in?
If I could just jump in here real quick, Mayor and Councilmember Campbell, to add a little bit of additional information. So the red that you're seeing on this map is the addition of a northern lane onto an existing 2 lanes that are there today. What we've just referred to on the south side, there's actually an additional piece where the buses park and drop off. So we've got just north of the school, the first thing is the bus drop off. Then there's 2 lanes, one going east and one going west, that are existing today. And then with the improvements we're doing in red is just an additional lane. So future configuration, I don't want to steal the thunder of Regis, that we'll be talking about this later, is we will have an east lane, a west lane, and a continuous turn lane in between.
So do we need to move or recite the way basis is going to, the way it's here on this diagram? I mean, he's telling us that he has a concern about the bus drop-off. And so did we take that into consideration whenever we
did, because we did a study, and actually it was about 4 months ago we did as part of the, and I'm not going to say we, the engineer, traffic engineer on behalf of BASIS did a study about the existing conditions and took counts throughout the day, both at peak time, drop-off, and pickup. Took that information, put it together with any future considerations of growth with the school, along with all of the improvements that we're doing. And we have the results of that analysis that states that we are going to have traffic similar patterns to what we have today, although there will be additional pavement and for the roadways, as well as 2 additional signals. However, it's been brought to our attention in our conversation with the high school today that there are existing issues out there in this vicinity on Sherman, and so that's why we will be meeting with them on Monday morning at 7:45 to see it for ourselves, to make sure that there aren't any additional considerations that we haven't taken into account. At that time, we'd be better able to propose any changes, modifications, or additions.
Okay, so if we agree to adopt the resolution 1693, is it going to have any impact on what he's concerned with at all? I mean, do we have flexibility to do anything else? I mean, I don't want to lock us into, I don't want us to adopt something that's not going to work down the road.
And I'm sorry, which one is 1693?
The one that's right now on the floor for us to vote on.
The Sherman Street right-of-way and PUE, that is the standard right-of-way section and would have no changes to
Nothing to do with the bus ramps or where they were located or us enlarging that street.
No, okay. Mayor and council member.
All right, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Councilor Loretano.
Yeah, and I thank both of you for working together. I think we all want both the high school to succeed and be safe and BASIS to succeed and be safe. And I totally get what the superintendent's talking about, because we're going to have K through 12 and high school mixing in there. So I think it's really incumbent that we do continue to look there. And I'd also like you, if you're going to go out there in the morning, could you go out when that high school lets out? Because I think that's a different traffic flow pattern. Mm-hmm. I know in our school it's different at different times because you do have teenagers that are driving. I think we really need to make sure that we get this right. So it is a success. Last thing we want to do is build it and then have a big traffic mess. So if we could take that extra time, whatever we need, to see what the flows are throughout those two busy periods, I think that would be really helpful. And I think my question was basically what Wally's was going to be about. If we approve this, it doesn't lock us in if we have to make modifications to make both safe, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this is a standard easement, and it still gives us the leeway and the latitude for you and the superintendent to work to come up with a good solution for this.
That is correct.
Okay, that was my concern. I didn't want to approve something today if it's going to lock us in there. If we had to table it for a week or so to figure this out. And when we do this, are we going to bring bases there as well to find out so that all three parties are meeting together?
On Monday morning, it is simply for us to look at the high school configuration and how it operates today. We are also planning on a pre-construction meeting that I believe, and Regis can correct me, is Thursday, March 5th. And at that meeting, we intend to have the contractor for the school, the contractor for us, as well as the school district and any other stakeholders that he has been in touch with will be at that meeting.
Okay, because I think that's important too, because they might want to know if there's high school kids leaving, that's going to maybe affect their traffic flow. So just thank you for getting everyone on the same page. I think that's great. So those are my questions for now.
Councilman Stipp?
Is there anyone from BASIS here that could answer a question?
Yes, I was trying to. If you could just state your name, please, and address. Thank you.
Yes, hi, my name's Dave Mattson. I'm a representative with BASIS School here tonight. Thank you for having us here. Thank you to the city of Goodyear. I'm a resident, so obviously I have an equal interest in what's going on here. We have worked really well. We're under a time crunch, and the city's been very gracious in working through this process with us. We by no means are looking to overstep anything, and I think we've demonstrated that throughout this process. We are willing and have been from day one. We had the traffic study that was done, I think, 2 or 3 months ago. As part of that, even the school has had this, we want to be a good neighbor. So we are interested in doing whatever that's going to take. If it's staggered start and drop-off times, we are willing to do that and would open that invitation to sit down with the school.
That's what my question was, did the school start at the same time?
We don't have a set time to start school, so we're open to that. We know that is the concern. And
that's what
we're absolutely willing to work.
And especially since this is, you're starting out with elementary school, right?
It's K through 6.
Yes. And in my mind, I thought maybe that might be one of the solutions and prevent any of those mishaps from happening, especially in the beginning until everybody gets adjusted. Bill, I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
I think you probably answered or asked the questions that I didn't. Councilmember Loretano did as well. Were we going to have someone from BASIS there? But I think we've now heard how we're going to work through that. And does that work in your time schedule? Because for us, that has always been the issue is a very tight timeline.
Well, we have the same concerns that the neighboring high school has for our own parents that will be dropping off.
Sure.
We want a safe environment. So yes, the interest we've bonded with the city to move forward with this project. This is the last piece. We're here to be a good neighbor, like I said, so we will do what's required as part of that, evaluating all options and just making sure it's fair. So we're just going to continue that partnership with the neighboring school.
Okay. No, Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Just, I first found out about this issue Saturday afternoon from a parent from Desert Edge. And in my wildest imagination, thought there was no way that we did not contact anybody from the high school district. We have always been in great partnership, and then to find out tonight that we had not is quite honestly very surprising. I know for the parents that are sitting out here, it is exceptionally disappointing to be your council member to hear that we haven't done what we have always done. Every project that we work on with the schools and the school district, with whether it be Desert Edge or Millennium, we have always been in great partnership. And we are human, and one slip through the cracks. But if I can just express a little bit of frustration, this is 2 meetings in a row now that we have had a transportation issue come before us that has been a miscommunication. And this is This is not how we do business, and there's been a lot of moving parts, and maybe we need to slow down a little bit to get this right. And I am very, very grateful for the long relationship that we have had both with Dr. Runyon and with the entire school board to understand the importance of us working together as community partners. And for that, I think we could very easily have averted a major catastrophe by that parent reaching out tonight, and then by the school taking on a proactive approach to alert the parents to tell this is how government is supposed to work. When you're not getting what you need, to come to your elected folks to get some action, and it worked in this situation. So I'm very, very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful for the willingness and the participation of everybody to work together to find a solution. So with that, I just want to say thank you.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
I'll just echo a little bit about what Councilmember Stipp had mentioned. Again, Dr. Runyon, I appreciate you working with us. Basis Representative, I appreciate you working with us. To me, what's critical, again, I've got 7 and 4-year-old grandkids myself. The safety is paramount. And I count on all of you to ensure that whatever agreement you work on and come up with, the children are number one. Okay, so again, the fact that you're here and you're agreeing to work on that, I really do appreciate that. But again, safety number one for those kids, all right?
Any other comments? Councilman Campbell?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm really sorry that it's been escalated like it has been escalated apparently, and there's something I personally, as a council member, am missing, because I know once you would call this to our attention, Dr. Runyon, we would have jumped through hoops to do whatever we needed to do. So did this come up before your board meeting, or what happened? It's just like a wildfire.
I generally believe that we are in good communication. There is a good rapport with the city, absolutely. This is just a situation that lot's been vacant for some time. The road's been there. We put in the bus ramp, and it's been there for 18 months. I truly believe it's not in any way intentional. We will recommit as well to reaching out to you guys in terms of the needs for these communications. I do believe it's a two-way street. Joanne's not here tonight, but I also had a conversation with her recently about an opportunity to do more to present to you and to be available to you for things that are happening in the school. So she echoed that would be really wonderful. So I think if we're a little more visible too, it might be helpful to you as well. So I think there's plenty of room here to be successful. And again, I appreciate the advocacy of our community and our parents and our principal and our board member that are here tonight. But if you look back, if you go back 2-3 years, we can step up to the plate too. So spring training, but we do appreciate that. I understand your concerns and I understand what that looks like, but we can do better too. It's a two-way street. We're here to support the city. They did reach out. They met with us this afternoon. They're coming Monday. We can do better. We can set up a liaison or a system with one of our contacts so that future projects that involve spaces around the schools can be better adjudicated, and we can do that. But that takes two, and we're part of the community too, and we're excited.
And we own all the land on the other side of you, so it's our prerogative to develop it the way we want to.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm 11 years, Goodyear.
Okay.
My family here too. So.
Great. Well, I'd like to have an off the record, or not off the record. I'd like to have a conversation later to find out really what happened.
Well, I think that I'm going to interject here because yes, some mistakes were made, but to hash it all over and what we need to do is move forward now. And I was notified on Friday by a parent being concerned, and I brought it to the attention last week of the city staff. And so I asked them, because I wasn't in the office during that time, I was at other things, and I asked them to address that. And they went by the study, and they did. And so we did address that. And then I ran into this individual at Safeway, and he and his wife, and I just said a couple words, and I could tell when they left that he was very questionable about the information that we had given. He didn't say that, but body language tells it all. And I spoke to the city manager this morning saying, I think we have a problem here. And so So don't, if somebody did it, and thank you, Steve. He's sitting there. He's the one, we've been friends for a long time. And so it was great, and I did bring it before them. And so that's why we have some preparation here tonight to address that. Mistakes are made by everybody. They're not intentional. And we have a great staff, and we have a lot of new people. So it happens. And so I don't want to beat them over the head on this. I just want to make it right. And I think we are making it right. We're going to make sure you're in these conversations. And like, I think it was Joe or someone said, it's the safety of the children. Okay. That's the big thing. It's nothing about us. It's about them. And so we want to stay focused on that. So, Councilman Loretano.
I just wanted to ask Dr. Runyon before, and we get to the city manager part at the end, if we could do that state of education by all of our superintendents. I would love to hear that. I think that will help us so we know what they're doing, that they're getting these bond elections.
No, you need to know it, because I've been attending quite a few things. Yes, and each time I come back and I say, oh my goodness, you to see what they're doing now. And even though we're bringing a STEM school in, they do have what we would consider portions of their program that is STEM. Mm-hmm. And so you don't know what that is. So I think it would help if we all join together in this we can make
some wonderful things. And it's nice to bring the classroom into your arena and see the kids. I can share with you some wonderful pictures and programs. And again, it all, the synergy of all this for all the kids, basis, us, everybody is going to be
right
for kids. So that's what it's all about.
It really is. And in the Avondale School District, same thing. I've gone to several of their STEM programs that they're having different things with the coding and all of that. So it's not, they're all working towards that. So we appreciate that. Anything else? Okay. So now we're going to vote on this one, and then we're going to have to go to each one, number 2, number 3, to vote separately on this. Okay? All right. So I roll call vote on 6.4.
Okay, and this is for Resolution 15-1693. Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Homan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
All right, now we're going to go to number 2, and should I read it out since we've been so long time? Would you like to read 2 out again so the public knows?
Sure.
All right, would you mind?
Thank you.
No,
not at all. Adopt Resolution Number 15-1694, authorizing the establishment of a public street for a section of Goodyear Boulevard to be constructed, opened, and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date.
All right, could I have a motion, please, and a second?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Stiff and a second by Councilman Loretano. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Homan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Good. Would you please read number 3?
Adopt Resolution Number 15-1695, authorizing the establishment of a public utility easement adjacent to a section of Sherman Street to be administered and maintained by the city, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Could I have a motion, a second?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell, a second by Councilman Stipp. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Homan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you. So now we have one more left. Did we do 6.5 on this?
We're going to move to 7.3 on the same subject, on business.
Oh, and so we're on to the bit. Yeah, okay. So
No.
7.2, you're saying. Is that what you-
7.3.
No, 7.3. All right, so let's go to that one next. Everybody totally confused here?
Oh, yeah.
Nope, I'm tracking it.
Okay, so 7.3, just keep me right and get me back to the one because I'll forget it. Next item on the business is to approve the budget expenditures exceeding $500,000 to construct the roadway improvements between Yuma Road and Australia Parkway. So Regis, you're on for your presentation. Your turn.
Vice Mayor, members of council, it's a pleasure to be here for you
You're
this
going to have to
evening.
speak up, Regis.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, it's a pleasure to be here before you this evening to bring you the Goodyear Boulevard infrastructure improvements. On the agenda for you this evening in our presentation, I've got a couple items we're going to cover. We're going to give you some background and the purpose of the project. We're going to identify some project design elements both for Phase 1 and Phase 2 and provide you with a project timeline. A little background about the project. In 2009, the city engaged Langford and Associates for a private-public partnership to develop the Goodyear Civic Center. In 2010, a vision was being realized through the design efforts of Carrier Johnson, who was a sub-consultant of Langford. However, the project was put on hold for economic purposes. In 2014, the city engaged Ricktock Powell for the design of the Goodyear Boulevard infrastructure project before you this evening. It was decided to do this project into 2 phases. Reason being, the south half of Goodyear Boulevard is currently occupied by a permitted SAT site, saturation aquifer or soil aquifer transfer station, and we're currently discharging effluent water into this to provide valuable recharge of the aquifer system and to obtain much needed water recharge credits through ADWR. The permit for the SAT site expires in 2016, in which we will then look at Phase 2 of the project. In 2015, this project was put on the streets and bid, in which Combs Construction was a successful bidder on it. The purpose for the project is to create improvements that will be the first phase to move our vision of the city center forward. It will also, the completion of the project will also support future development of the city center and provide improved access for both the existing Desert Head High School by adding a dedicated through traffic lane, right turn lane from Goodyear Boulevard onto Yuma, where currently vehicles stack up because there's just a right and through lane there. It'll also complete the north half of Sherman Street, adding another lane, which, as mentioned earlier, will create a eastbound traffic, a left turn lane, and a westbound traffic on the street, which is currently just a narrow 2-lane road. It will also, of course, enhance the improvements for the upcoming and future basis school on the street. The exhibit for you now you've seen, it was part of my presentation. Let me just describe a few of the design elements to it. Phase 1 will consist of signalizing the intersection at Goodyear Boulevard and Estrella Parkway, signalizing the intersection at Goodyear Boulevard and Sherman when we build out the full Sherman build-out. It'll complete the north half of Sherman, as I said earlier, to create 2 lanes with a dedicated left turn lane. It'll also add that dedicated turn lane, which is much needed at Goodyear Boulevard and Yuma Road, allowing traffic to flow out of Goodyear Boulevard south right onto Yuma, through onto Goodyear Boulevard, or left turn onto Yuma. And of course, it will include all of the wet and dry utilities underground associated with the project. Phase 2, identified in the blue there, will complete the construction of Goodyear Boulevard, creating at that point in time 2 lanes north-westbound, or north-southbound, and 2 lanes east and northbound. It'll be a raised median in the middle of it, and we'll complete the landscaping in that raised median. There'll be appropriate median breaks to accommodate the school as they're designed now with their driveways, and also at Sherman Road. Project timelines we have are, of course, with approval of council action tonight on this contract to move forward with Combs Construction. We'll be ready to issue a notice to proceed this week yet, pending bonding and things that they need to obtain and get to us after contract is being ready to issue. The contractor's looking to mobilize March 9th. However, there'll be a couple of weeks there where mobilization is just through acquiring third-party permits, such as dust permits, stormwater permits, things like that. So they probably won't be actually mobilized on the site until the middle of March, probably the 16th. We are anticipating that we are complete with the project, substantial completion, and open the roadways to the public July 15th of this year, and the project's final acceptance will be July 31st. Just a brief on some funding summary. The project budget is $5.5 million for phase 1 and 2. That is approved in 2015 fiscal budget year. Construction cost for phase 1 is $3,015,418, and this includes the construction contract before you this evening, some Roosevelt Irrigation District costs that we have because we have to relocate a small channel of theirs, and APS estimated cost to bring power down this road for traffic signals and future power. The design cost for this project for phase 1 was $332,575. This included the design of the project, surveys and reports we did, and some real estate services we had to acquire some property to the south of the of Goodyear Boulevard on Sun MP property and across the street on the east side of Estrella Parkway. So the total cost of phase 1 will be $3,347,993, which will give us a remaining budget for phase 2 of $2,152,007, plus any savings we have from phase 1. And with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We do have 2 speaker cards. So I'm going to call Steve Sansilio up. You know, I probably have never said your last name. All these years, Steve, we've known each other. Steve and I know each other through a Little League. And, of course, he was very active, too, in soccer, right, with your children, as I remember?
Soccer, football.
Yeah, that's right.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse, yes. And now spending some time volunteering at the high school.
And excuse me, Steve, I just have to tell you this, but I have to follow the regulations. So you have 3 minutes, okay? The yellow light and buzzer will let you know you have 30 seconds left to speak. Before you begin to speak, just please clearly identify your name and address. Thank you.
Steve Sangillo, resident and local business owner, residing at 14414 West Windsor Avenue here in the great city of Goodyear. Can I get this turned on?
Somebody will help you.
So,
you need help?
I got it.
Oh,
one thing Council Member Campbell asked earlier, where do the students park? Nobody answered your question. Students park right here and enter right here, which is going to create a huge bottleneck of 200 plus students that grows throughout the year, because as they mature through school towards the end of the year, you have more drivers than at the beginning of the school year. So this is going to create even more congestion along this road, with the bus lane being here as well. And then my experience with younger schools from having younger kids is parents line up well before school gets out on the shoulder of the road, creating even more issues. I'm fearful that that's going to happen here. It's going to be very difficult to control. The city's going to have to spend a tremendous amount more of police resources to police the area. And I think it's got issues altogether. I think what we need to see is a different route of this road going in the basis. I'm not opposed to basis being there. I'm just opposed to the traffic pattern that puts their main entrance diagram right about there, which is right in the heat of everything going on. Desert Edge starts usually around 7:30? 7:45, only on 4 days a week. 1 day a week, they're an hour later. That means that could have an impact on Wednesdays when they have late start, because now they're pushing back an hour. Depending on when basis is starting, you have those factors that might not have been taken into consideration. I just respectfully request that you guys table this decision based on the district not being involved and all the factors that I know were not taken into consideration when this was designed. I think it needs to go back to the drawing board, needs a few tweaks, possibly a straight in and maybe an entrance to basis more here, with this being more straight, which would alleviate some of the problem on Sherman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, Dr. Runyon. Did you forget that you did this one? So.
Thank you. Again, I'm just here to support the school and the community and the principal in terms of some of the discussion points you've heard tonight, And again, we do want to work with the city planners and the city council on this planning as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I need a motion and a second to approve the budget expenditures exceeding $500,000 to construct the project number ST 1404 Goodyear Boulevard improvements, Yuma Road to Australia. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I hear a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Loretano. All right, open for council discussion finally.
Okay, who's
All right.
first?
All right, I'll let you have the floor.
Okay.
Councilman Campbell.
All right. I only moved it so we could talk about it because we can't talk about it if we don't move it. So, Regis, I have gone over to Desert Edge a million times. I park in that lot, and yeah, it's a mess, but you know, it's always been like that. It's hard to get in, it's hard to get out, especially when kids are coming in and out, and everyone is coming in and out. Did we? Oh, I shouldn't ask you this. Let me do it differently. If we approve this construction money tonight, and after the discussion at 7:45 in the morning or whenever they're going to meet, we find out that we need to go back to the drawing board, what does that do to us? We're stuck with the contract or what?
How about our...
there's Rebecca.
How about
Sorry.
our director?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to do this right, but we're on a time, we know that. I mean, if we need to do this next week, fine, but we need to know as a council what are our perimeters? What leeway do we have, if any, if we go ahead?
Yes, what I'll first say is the hope is that when we meet at 7:45 on Monday and then we later coordinate with the school and basis, that there are hopefully mechanisms that we can put in place that in a sense adjust times, starting times, dismissal times, that we could potentially utilize some other mechanisms to help alleviate any traffic that's going to impact Sherman. However, if that is not the case, then we would very quickly move forward with some sort of modification to the plans and then come back to you quickly with an adjustment. My only concern is that this project is so incredibly fast-moving that I would want to move forward with what we have before you this evening with the promise that we would come back to you as soon as possible with any potential changes to the plan.
I'm going to interject here because I always have to wait to the last, but I don't want to wait to the last tonight. So I'm going to take mayor's privilege. The turnaround there, is that, where the circle is? Can the buses turn around there now? Do they turn around and come back out?
Mayor, yes, that is the turnaround for the buses, correct. And we'll be expanding that turnaround and making it larger with this project.
So you'll be enlarging that turnaround?
Yes, we will, yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask again. I thought there was another direction that the students could come in that are driving cars. There's nothing. That's the only road they can come in on. Okay.
There is a road to the back side, but it's not. It runs through tennis courts. It runs through ball fields. It runs back by the construction site. It's not a normal entrance road. It wouldn't be, again, we have multiple issues, but technically, if you're asking a technical question, I want to make sure you know that we've had cars run through there before, but it's not suitable for a long-term,
Well, that answers my question.
That might be what somebody had mentioned to you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Loretano.
Councilman Stipp and I are helping redesign the parking lot over here if you need to. And I'm going to use your map because Georgia. Would it be possible, and you know your school better than we do, but obviously to either connect to this road or connect out that way? I mean, is that something we could look in?
Point that on the screen.
Okay, if potentially from the drop-off loop to make a connection up to this parking lot.
Yeah, or to the parking lot over to, I can't see it, so. She's right. This is the road. Yeah, or this way up here.
Can I come over there?
Mayor Lord, Councilman Loretano, actually there is a turn-in off of Goodyear Boulevard at this time for the school, for Desert High School, which is right here.
I know, but obviously the kids go that one way. If there's a way we can help them alleviate that.
To create another entrance into this
Yeah.
parking lot off of Goodyear Boulevard here?
Yes. Yeah, I think Bill's showing where we're.
What we're right there.
Mhm.
Or the other one.
Connect these two loops together, or somewhere here that we can take the pressure off of Sherman. Now, that's not anything we're certainly can't ask the school to pay for, but
Is that something we can look into as, you know?
an option.
Mayor Lord,
And we are not
Councilmembers
traffic planners, we're
Loretano,
just trying to-
absolutely. I think at this point in time, all options are back on the table to look at this. And to go back to Council Member Campbell's question before, the approval of the contract tonight, or the expenditure of the funds tonight, just says that you allow us to spend the money for this contract. There are clauses in the contract for termination of convenience, things like that. So even after the contract's executed, we can literally stop the contract at any time and reconvene and redesign whatever we have to do. We certainly are not
I'm
locked
going to ask
into anything.
Mr. Beckley to come to address this, okay? Thank you.
Mayor and Council, we, after hearing the discussion, also having an opportunity to talk to Dr. Runyon and his staff, it's our thought that on Monday we'll learn some things, perhaps come up with some solutions right there at the scene, or we're going to go back and look at other alternatives. Someone asked, I think, Wally, if we could extend this. I think that would be appropriate because we're not really sharing all the information and the eventual solution with you.
Mhm.
A delay of 1 to 2 weeks is not going to
Okay.
break the schedule, so we would be totally supportive of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So what we're saying is 7.3 will be extended to a different council meeting. Is that what we're saying?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table item 7.3.
Thank you. I heard a motion. I hear a second.
Second.
A second by Councilman Campbell. And let's do a roll call on that.
Councilmember Holman?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's input on this. And I do feel really, truly that I think we can make it work. And you can see with the suggestions here that we will make it work and make it safe. And have both of the schools there and helping our city. All right? Thank you. Then we're on 7.1. Is that where we are?
Yes, Mayor.
I got something right tonight, huh?
Oh,
All right.
my gosh.
So this was your first item on the business, is to consider approving the license for Ada's Fish Fry. Sue, are you going to do the run cart to do the presentation?
Yeah.
Are they here tonight? Well, first of all, let me apologize for having you such a delay before you come up. So thank you very much. Go ahead, Sue.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be able to present a new Series 12 liquor license for Ada's Fish Fry, located at 14960 West Indian School Road, number 380. This is in the shopping center on the northeast corner of Indian School Road and Wigwam Boulevard. The business opened in July of 2014 and is a family-owned and operated business. They've applied for a liquor license at the request of many of their customers. And that's the end of my presentation.
Great.
They are here. The applicant is here for questions if you'd like to.
Appreciate that. Are there any cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right. Could I have a motion and a second to approve a request from Vincent Poorman, owner and agent of Ada's Fish Fry LLC, for the new Series 12 liquor license number 1207A127, located at 14960 West Indian School Road, number 380 in Goodyear, Arizona. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Holman and a second by Councilman Loretano. Open for discussion. Yes, Councilman Stipp.
The usual, Mr. Poorman. Obviously, you've been here for a while. We want to always make sure I say thank you and welcome. And I realize this is just an add-on of a liquor license to an already successful business, but we don't get an opportunity to see our small business owners very often. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking through, and hopefully this will make you more successful than you already are. So thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Well, I'll tell you, if Pebble Creek's crazy about your fish, it's the biggest discussion in the neighborhood. So I just want you to know that you are a success with your neighbors across the street. So, and again, thank you so much for your patience tonight. So, all right. With no more discussion, we're going to have a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Homan?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
All right, you have that. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. All right, we'll go to 7.2 to receive a fiscal year 2015 second quarter financial updates and approved budget transfer. Lori?
All
You're on
right.
again.
Nice to see you again.
Regan Roth, Budget and Research Manager, to present.
All righty. The purpose that we're here for today is twofold. First is just to review second quarter results, actual results compared to the budget for the general fund and other major operating funds. And then the second reason is to explain and request approval of the budget transfers. Some of this you've kind of heard already earlier in the work study presentation, but essentially here's the information on how general fund revenues have performed through the first 6 months. You'll notice local sales tax is a little ahead of where we intended to be. And then franchise fees is an item I'll point out. It looks like it's low. That's really only 1 quarter payment, even though it's 2 quarters of data that lags about a month coming in. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything significant to note there. Primary property tax is basically known. State shared income tax is basically known. So we're usually pretty good at those estimates. In terms of expenditures, general fund expenditures are essentially where we would expect them to be. Essentially, the personal services and contractual services make up the bulk of, in excess of 90% of the general fund budget. That's basically the ongoing day-to-day operations, the people, the utilities, those types of things. Some of the other items, such as operating capital, is low at this point in time, essentially due to long procurement times for those larger items, or larger contracts where we may take the whole year to make the payments against the contract.
I got a question. Well, it's on this slide.
Question, Vice Mayor Pizzillo.
Just real quickly, the 26 vacant positions, is that typical for us around now, or are we seeing any uptick in turnover?
There were new positions added at the beginning of the year.
This conversation is going to take a long time because we have the time when we ask for the motion and you can counsel discussion.
All right.
Okay,
No,
could you do that? Because I think this is going to. I think there's
Okay.
going to be more than one sentence struck
Okay.
in this one. So keep going, and then we'll get to you, Joe, at that point.
Okay.
All righty. And then just a quick summary on some of the other major funds. The Highway User Revenue Fund, again, essentially performing as you'd expected in terms of revenue. Expenditures are lower relative to being 50% through the year, primarily because there's road work that's done in the spring that would be supported here. You will notice that the revenues here are lower than the expenditures. That's essentially because this fund is also supported by the general fund. So the difference between revenues and expenditures is provided through general fund transfers. The water and the wastewater funds are also both essentially performing where we would expect relative to revenues. A little different in these areas. The contractuals are almost a bigger portion of the budget than the personal services in these two areas. And again, there are some larger capital items that are in progress that are the reason why the expenditures are lower than the 50% you might expect at this point in time. And then the last two kind of major funds are the sanitation fund. It's primarily the contractual payment for the trash collection, and it is performing where we'd expect. In the stadium fund, a number of the revenues in that fund come in more strongly in association with the spring training that we just heard is going to be starting here in another week or so. The other primary reason that we're here is to receive approval for budget transfers. This is the action part of the item. Their budget transfers, most budget transfers have to be approved by council. The exception are cases where a department is just moving money around within their own budget to kind of deal with small issues that come up. The primary reason that we come to you are cases where we have new resources such as grants or reimbursements that come in and we need authorization to expend those amounts. Sometimes there's unexpected costs. You're not seeing them here, but we'll probably come to you and talk to you about the costs associated with the storms earlier in the year, as an example. There's also technical corrections. You'll find a great deal of the transfers that I'm going to walk you through are technical corrections for this time around. And then the overall, and just to remind you that the overall city budget does not change when we make these transfers. So I'll walk you through the largest transfers in the list. I'm certainly prepared to answer questions about any of the others that you might have. And again, I just want to emphasize that a lot of the items we're going to be walking through are cases where we're not actually changing the original intent of the budget. We're just moving the items to where they will ultimately be expended, that they were budgeted in different places where they will truly be expended. But it's not changing the ultimate source of funding in many of those cases. So the first group or type of transfers that, or the way we classify transfers, are interdepartment or interfund transfers. In this case, the major items that are included here is the movement. You may recall that new impact fees went into effect on August 1st. When we prepared the budget, those new fee funds did not exist. So we budgeted everything in the old funds. And so this transfer essentially moves those items from the old funds to the new funds, which is where the items will be expended. The other item is an item you've already approved when we approve the special census. So this is just the technical transaction to make that change between the asset management funds and the census. The next group of transfers we kind of call the new revenues. These are essentially the cases where we have identified other funding sources, grants have come in, insurance reimbursements. The items that we've classified here, the larger items, are the Goodyear Boulevard project that we were just talking about. And in fact, this is another one of these items where you've already approved the budget, approved the transactions. This is just the technical implementation of the transfers or the funding sources you approved with that project earlier in the year. The next item looks a little confusing. It's coincidental that there's two items that are both $600,000 associated with one item. The first $600,000 was since essentially moving these funds that were included in the budget or planned for the budget from the CIP to the operating budget. And the second item was approved by you already, which was an allocation of the revenues anticipated to come in from the rate increase that has just recently taken effect in water to add an additional $600,000 for additional water purchases. The next item is $1.6 million related to developer contributions. That is another item that you've already approved. It was related to the Sun NP agreements that came before you about a month or so ago, or maybe a little longer than that. And so again, technical action of just implementing those changes. The last item in this category is budgeting or putting the budget in the proper place for the ballpark maintenance and repair expenditures. These items have to be approved by the teams before we actually implement the expenditures. So what this particular item did is it, number one, moved the $250,000 that was already budgeted to the proper place once those items were identified. And then it also allocated some fund balance that was available over and above that to complete the items that were agreed to. The next group that I'll characterize as technical corrections, and this is where the bulk of the transactions are, and I'll try to explain them as carefully as I can. And again, they aren't changing the nature of what was intended when the budget was adopted. They're just putting things in the correct place. The first one is $9.8 million. Essentially what was done is the items that are funded on a one-time basis using one-time resources like the construction sales tax or the beginning fund balance that's available. We decided to create a new sub-fund within the general fund. So the general fund is where most of our activity happens. We decided to create a new sub-fund so that we could track these one-time items more carefully. So all that we've done is move those items from where they were originally budgeted in the main general fund into a sub-fund to kind of be able to track those items more carefully and more closely. The next item is $7.8 million, in changes to the essentially we reconciled the budget that was entered into the financial system with the budget that was approved by the City Council in the budget process. You may recall that our financial system is somewhat cumbersome, and the budget process, in fact, is manual and it's done in spreadsheets outside the system. So there was just a need that once we entered all that in there to go back and reconcile and assure that what ended up in the financial system was the same as what the council approved. And that's what these changes did, was get everything to the place it belongs. And there's actually two items on there. One was related to a police overtime item, and the rest were several changes regarding different funding sources. The next item is $10.4 million. Essentially, in February of each year, February, March timeframe of each year, we have to look at existing contracts and existing budgeted items such as capital projects and make a call at that point in time as to whether or not we'll actually be able to expend all those resources in the budget year. If we feel we won't be able to, we do what's called a carryover, and we essentially say, we've got $1 million that we're spending on this project. We don't think we're going to make the last payment until next fiscal year, and that'll be $500,000. So essentially what we do is we say, okay, we're going to put $500,000 in the new year budget for that project. So we're keeping the same project budget in total, but we're planning on some of those payments having to happen in the next year. Because we make those decisions in the February, March timeframe, we aren't perfect forecasters, and we do our best job to make those estimates. And we tend to be conservative in that we encourage that we might plan for a little bit more in next year's budget rather than short next year's budget. And so what we do is once the year is over, we go through and we look at every item where we did a carryover into the new year budget, and we look at what was actually spent in the prior year. And we correct the new year budget amount to adjust if we spent more in the prior year than we had planned to. So we take a step to keep the project's original budget. Most of these transactions were reductions because we did underestimate how much would be spent in the prior year. So we are reducing the new year budget by the amounts that were spent in the prior year. It's kind of confusing, and it's sometimes not as straightforward. But essentially, that's basically bringing all these projects or these contracts back to what their original budget was. The next item is $2.7 million in reserve funds. And again, this is another one of these cases where we budget for these reserves, like for the fleet and the technology equipment and that we talked about earlier. We budget for them in the main general fund, and then we have separate funds that are also subsets or sub-funds of the general fund, where we put those funds so that they can be spent for the intended purpose. So for example, there's a fund for the fleet replacements. So if we had budgeted $2 million in fleet replacements out of this year's budget, we've moved that $2 million from the general fund into that fund that's established for the fleet. That gives us the capability again to be able to keep track of and make sure that we allocate those funds, and those funds do get spent on the fleet and not something else. And if there's savings, they'll flow forward into the next year to be available to continue to help support fleet expenses or fleet replacement costs. The last item here is an item where we are reimbursed for landscape maintenance that parks staff perform at one of the CFDs. And in this case, we're correcting to ensure that we have the budget available in the Parks Department to recognize that we're going to be receiving those resources. And that's kind of a high-level summary of the major budget transfers that are here. We'd request that you approve the budget transfers as they were presented, and am available to answer questions.
Thank you, Lori. Are there any cards?
No, Mayor.
Cards? All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? If not, could I have a motion and a second, please, to receive the fiscal year 2015 second quarter financial updates and approve the budget transfers? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Holman. Open for council discussion. All right, Vice Mayor. Now you can talk.
Thank you. Back to the question on the vacancies at 26. Is that atypical, or are we seeing a higher degree of turnover in the city?
Lyman Lockett, HR Director, is coming up.
Okay. From my recollection, it just seems high. That's the only reason why I'm asking the question.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, that's roughly about 5%, so it's not running high. We continue to monitor it, and at this point, we think we're right where we would typically be.
So you have no concern about the people leaving and turnover at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Question on the budget side there on the one-time. I recall, quite a while ago when I used to do that, we had a way of tracking those one-time expenditures. We just set up an 002 fund. Is that basically what you're doing now?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, yes. That's essentially, we had abandoned using that 002 fund, and we reestablished using it again.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because at the end of the year, you can easily determine what one-time money wasn't used and you can get rid of it. So I'm glad to see that you've implemented that again. Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Councilman Stipp.
All right. I only laugh because you answered my first 8 questions in your presentation, and I'm not kidding. So,
well, that's kind of scary. I don't know how many more you have. But I know there's probably like 100 transfers on here.
I got 5. I'm down to 5, and I half of the questions are quite honestly based on what I'm fairly certain has happened, and I think to echo the Vice Mayor's point that making our budget, even though it makes it far more cumbersome, but it really gets to the level of detail that is important for us to illustrate, I think is really, really important. So let's start with page 41, which is the Schedule 3. And a couple of the first obvious question that comes up is we have the FY15 budget, and then we have the FY15 adjusted budget. And those numbers in those 2 columns are different. And for someone unfamiliar with this table may look at that and say, look, the staff has upped the budget as it went through. Can you give a quick explanation of what does an adjusted budget versus the actual budget that we approved looks like?
Mayor, council members, actually that adjusted budget is exactly what we're asking you to approve today. That reflects the transfers that we expect or that we're requesting be approved. So the budgets will change using these transfers. Again, a transfer has to balance. You have to have both sides of it. So there may be situations, for example, one of the transfers that's in here is moving a position from, I believe, the Development Services Department to the Economic Development Department. So that would be a situation where we would be reducing the Development Services adjusted budget and increasing the Economic Development adjusted budget.
And essentially, the bottom line doesn't change.
Correct.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was getting at. All right, so I have a very specific question about on page 41 under the Finance Department, CFD Administration. We are 277% expended in commodities. Now, CFD Administration is that's essentially an administration position, so I'm curious what we're spending so much in additional commodities. Does anybody have an idea, or is this something for later? At the bottom of the day, $6,000 isn't a lot when we're talking about $222 million, but the percentage is what raised the flag.
Well, the first part of that, Mayor and Council Member Stipp, the first part of the answer is because of just the smallness of the numbers. Very few costs get charged to the CFDs, to the administration part, because it is people and just a few expenses. But we have had some expenses coming through this year that have affected us. I think some of it relates to the software that we're adding to be able to do our own billing that we right now have a third-party vendor doing, and some of those costs have hit our budget a little bit in that area. Within the finance department, and that's where the level of accountability that we have to balance, that delta, which is about $4,000, will be there. We will not need additional funding to cover that.
Okay, thank you. Next question is page 44. And this is in the building safety and inspection. Again, commodities. Building inspections are people.
Mayor, council member, are you referring to the item at the very top of the page?
No,
Okay.
under Department 3344, it's 186% expended, and we're only 50% of the way through the year.
Yeah, I don't know if there's somebody from the department who can answer that. It's the similar concept. The department will be working to stay within budget, and we've gone through some of those reviews, but I don't know.
I mean, overall, the city budget is in really good condition. It's just a couple of these gigantic anomalies that are 150+%. I think we probably should maybe have a future, hey, just a heads up, this is what they are. Even though the dollars aren't a lot, I think we have a responsibility to do that.
I think it goes back to what you said earlier in the work session, that layman's terms and explanation what it is, because it'll come back to us.
And as I say, Mayor, council member, as we went through the 6-month reviews with the departments, we went over those types of things, and we worked with them to assure they're going to be able to cover them. And in some cases, we don't require the department to make transfers within their own department, as long as they're going to stay within their budget in the commodities area or in the contractual area.
Yeah, and obviously in this case, there's things that just pop up, but I'm glad that the numbers that are in the triple digits are very, very small. The last question that I have isn't directed necessarily, Lori, for you. It really goes to both police and fire chiefs. We received your overtime analysis, which has the explanation of why we are where we are. But I'd like to know in a future meeting or some sort of setting, whether it be a document from the manager, what are we planning to do to fix it going forward? We just can't continue to accept the amount of money that we spend in overtime in public safety and just say it's okay. We need to have a plan going forward. And I realize we can't help. There's 5 vacant positions plus another half a dozen, I think I saw, on the PD side of injuries. So we got 11 vacancies there. I would expect that the overtime is going to be outrageous, and I would also expect that we're going to be able to cover it, which the chief indicated in his report, that we've got plenty of money on the salary saving side. But I think the council's we should be at least privy to what it is we intend to do to rectify these situations. And I know on the fire side, 60% of that, if not more, is the FLSA overtime, that the overtime we can't fix. So, and I didn't get a good feel for where we were at. So I think just some information on that either going forward or just a quick little update in the manager's weekly would be all that's sufficient on that, at least for me. So thank you.
Anybody else? We're all set to vote? Okay, ready? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So I think we've cleared the agenda up. So we're at information items. Does council have any comments or reports on current events? I hope somebody is going to talk about a current event. Yes. Vice Mayor?
Great parade this weekend for any of you that were able to attend. I don't know what the head count was, but it seemed to me that there was more people. At least the candy ended up going faster than normal. There's more people on the sides watching the parade, I think, than there was the previous year. Because I think the previous year was more sparse.
I thought it was less. So.
No, I thought there was more because there was more. It was a lot thinner, I think, last year.
Pause. The city manager has some numbers.
Oh, does he? Okay.
So the fourth annual Tell It Two Cities Parade and Festival, so you have to count both functions. It was estimated attendance at 8,000.
What was it the year before? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't have that in front of me.
8,000.
8,000, though. That's a big number, and I don't have a direct comparison as to what it was a previous year.
That's great.
What I'd like to say to the staff, I mean, it was seamless. Okay. Kudos to the staff that put that on. I mean, getting there, the trolley, getting us to the thing, the actual, lining up of the floats. I mean, I know there's a lot of prelim work to pull that off, all right? And you guys did an excellent job. So I want to say to the staff who had anything to do with putting that parade out, let them know. Thank you from the bottom of the that was seamless. You would know that there was any glitches anywhere in there because everything went so smoothly. So, again, bottom of the heart, tell them thank you. Great job.
Anybody else? Well, I'm going to say it was great. It was a great parade. And I had a special time because I gave this talk for the immigration, for the citizenship. And I had the introduction. I think you did one year, you did the end of it. You did it last year. And so this year was Goodyear's chance to go ahead and start the beginning of the ceremony. But I have to tell you, looking in the audience, there were, somebody told me 66 countries were sitting in the audience. And for me, it was deja vu because I kept visualizing how my parents must have felt. Because my father came over, he left Greece in 1920 and went to Canada. And then from Canada, in 1930, he moved into the States. And my mother came over on Ellis Island with her father and her 4 brothers in 1911 and began that citizen. So, we're always talking about one segment of the population immigrating into Arizona, and it's not. I mean, if you could have heard the Ecuador, the number of countries, it was really heartwarming, and they were very enthusiastic. So this is going to be a highlight in my memory of having this opportunity that day. So it's just really great. And the parade was great. And I have to tell you, I went around and thanked all of the people that were partaking, with tents, the events and the tents, and thanked them. And they were all very pleased and very happy to be there and felt it was very organized. So that's kudos to staff. So anything else? Oh, Bill?
One of the things I did again this year that we didn't do last year was pair a Goodyear council member and an Avondale council member together. We did that this year. And the interesting thing was the gentleman who was driving us lives in Surprise. So he said to Jim McDonald and I, he said, so how well do your cities get along? And it was really very interesting. Without hesitation, both Councilmember McDonald and I both replied, we get along really well. And when you look at who else was there, we had representation from Glendale and from Litchfield Park and
and the legislature.
Oh, yeah, I was going to get to that. That was really remarkable. But I think the thing that really was most remarkable to me was our LD4 representation was very, very strong. And everybody worries about the disconnect between Yuma and South Goodyear in the Estrella area. You hear that a lot. Are they really going to represent us? And those ladies from that area do more and spend more time in this city than they may in a lot of other areas, and that was really a pleasure to see. And they're always such a joy to be around. So kudos to them. And
how about just saying the name for the public of the?
Are you going to make me pronounce them?
Yeah.
Lynn Pancrazzi, Lisa Otondo.
That's right.
And Charlene Fernandez.
Mm-hmm.
So they were pleasant as always, but it's so great to see them come out and support us. So it was a great cooperative environment that day. And the other thing that I learned, which was very, very surprising, is the city of Avondale has actually gone backward in population. At one point, they were near 90,000, and today they're I talked to their city manager today at another function, and he seems to think it's about 83,000. Jim McDonald thought it was about 78 or 79,000. So we are very close now in population size to Avondale, and the irony of it is they have reduced significantly while we have continued to grow, and that is really a testament to the quality of our city, and certainly we couldn't do it without a staff that we have. So. Couple of observations.
Very nice. Thank you. Anything else? All right. Turning over.
Oh, I just.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Sherry.
No, I just want to say when we do bring the schools, don't forget up in Estrella, because they're doing a road show about the budget and some issues right now today. So I obviously couldn't make that one to see what they were talking about. But I just remember that our superintendent, I'd like to make sure that we include that one too when we do that, because I would really like to hear from the schools.
So, Mayor, would that be a work session so that we have time to hear them and ask questions?
I'm assuming that, but to be determined.
Okay.
And you will have input in that, certainly with the city manager, and he'll discuss it with you, and you
That'd
make
be
those
nice.
decisions.
Okay, thank you.
I think to decide what you're going to do right now is a little tough on
I just don't want to be forgotten. Sometimes we're
know,
forgotten.
I
up on the
don't want
hill.
you to be forgotten either. Because we would hear it if we didn't, if not just from you, from the public, you know. Okay? Brian, over to you.
Yes, Mayor and Council, and just specific to that, what we're calling the State of Education addresses, we will work as far as how best to bring that forward to Council. It was great to see the excitement of Dr. Runyon to come here and do that, and we certainly want to extend that to our other districts. So we'll work through those details and get that back to you. That was one of the follow-up items. The other is just a couple of things that was recognized on the Tell Two Cities, and thank you to Council for being there, Mayor and Council for being there as well. It's just, there was a lot of energy there. And when you're on Litchfield Road and it's all piling up and everyone's getting ready to jump into the cars, as a bystander, it was just great to watch. But there were 85 entrants in the parade. Again, I don't know what the previous year was. I just have this year's. And the festival, where all the tents were set up, 78 exhibitors. What was great about that are there are two stages that had entertainment with 9 different cultural performances. And Mayor, when you did the naturalization ceremony, that was 149 individuals officially became United States citizens.
Oh, amazing.
So that was 149. So that was great. A couple of reminders. Wednesday, February 25th, at 6:30 p.m. in Tuscany Falls Ballroom at Pebble Creek. There is a meeting that's open to the public where ADOT is, at the request of the community, coming in and talking about how they make decisions regarding noise mitigation strategies related to freeway noise. So just as a reminder, that's this Wednesday at 6:30. And the other one is Starpoint Residents Club is going to be hosting a meeting Wednesday at the same time, 6:30, to talk about the use permit for Taco Bell. And that's a restaurant that is being proposed on the Kitchell development there on the north side of Elliott across from Starpoint. Actually, it'd be just west of where the McDonald's is in the parking lot. So the neighborhood meeting's an informal meeting just to allow adjacent property owners to learn more about the proposal, ask questions. So that's just one of the stages we do before it goes forward. But we do that in working with the applicant where they present it, because it is a use permit and eventually will require council approval. So that's what I have tonight.
Okay,
That's all,
I just
Mayor.
mentioned council. I cannot go to those, to the one at Pebble Creek, the ADOT, because I have something else to go to. So I'm not going to be able to, and you know, when I'm not showing up there, what they're going to say. So just, we're going to get covered. Okay, I just want to make sure someone from council.
I'll be at Estrella.
And you'll be at it. Okay, all right, because we really need that feedback, and we need to let them know we are interested in what their concerns are. So, all right, the next meeting will be a work session on March 2nd. So with no further, yes.
And Mayor and Council, one of the things we may do is we may end up asking for a special session as it relates to Goodyear Boulevard, but that may be a consideration, and we'll figure that out. Get through the details of that this week.
All right, great. Appreciate that. All right, so with that, meeting's adjourned. I don't want you were pointing at something.